to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Casey.
Kaila. Cyndi.
And I'm Josh. And Kaila, we really haven't talked about your newest project that you're doing with your friend.
Oh, you mean Drunk in the Library?
Yeah, Drunk in the Library. Yes.
Shameless self-plug.
So, tell us a little bit about Drunk in the Library.
Drunk in the Library is a podcast that's available on all major podcasting platforms where me and my best friend get drunk every week and we tell you something you didn't know about.
I've watched a few of the episodes, and it was it is a very intriguing show.
Thank you.
I like watching I watch the ones with Tot Weird Running Marathon.
Okay, the marathon. Yeah, Tori actually gave me the idea for that.
That was at one of the sessions. That I thought I'd remember her bringing that up.
Yep.
Yeah, the very first, the Body Farms, that was
Yes.
the very first thing we talked about.
Yes.
The one I really need to get to is the Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, that one was pretty, recent for us now, not recent for when this comes out. But I think you'd enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'll make a point to check it out. But we are going to be going over a short story written by Haruki Murakami. And the particular short story is called Cream. And it was published in The New Yorker on January 28th, 2019. People that read The New Yorker make a point to point out what issue a particular work was published, especially a work of fiction. So, for the discussion starter, what do you see as being a circle with many centers and a circle with no circumference? What do you believe is the creme de la creme, or cream of the cream?
I personally couldn't figure it out. And so I came up with the conclusion that the elderly man noticed that he was hyperventilating, and he asked him a question that had no answer just to get his mind off of the hyperventilating. That's because I couldn't figure it out. So I said that's what that was.
It is very much like a mind game, but I disagree with the fact that he felt that it was not meant to be anything. It depends on how you perceive it, because it's almost as if it's meant to be something, but yet it's not meant to be something, but yet it's meant to be something. I think that when all is said and done, there is something that comes out of it, even if the speaker is meant to figure it out for himself, because that's what the older man is trying to get at.
You find your own creme de la creme.
Yes, you find your own creme de la creme. He said, and I quote, "Listen, you've got to imagine it with your own power. Use all the wisdom you have and picture it. A circle that has many centers but no circumference. If you put in such an intense effort that it's as if you're sweating blood, that's when it gradually becomes clear what the circle is." Because a circle with no circumference is a line. A circle with many centers, that's a puzzle within itself to picture the center, a line with many centers.
For me, I thought like it was kind of representative of the universe, because that can be imagined as a circle with no center and a circle with no circumference. I think for me it was very much like you have to assign your own meaning to life, and you have to get your own center of the universe.
I agree with that, and I think that it is, and I think everybody has a different center of the universe, and it's supposed to be a meaningful one as well, not just finding the girl of your dreams, or the person you think is the girl of your dreams. And that word cream, though, becomes very enticing because it's smooth, it's sweet. It's luxury, yeah. And cream in particular, not any other sweet item like chocolate or something savory like cheese. What did everybody think about the story? Take away the philosophy.
I was surprised by how easy it was to read. Because I've never read anything by this author before, but I know that he wrote that one book, 1Q84, which is incredibly large and very daunting, and I didn't expect it to flow as easily as it did.
Yeah, Haruki Murakami is known for magical realism and incorporating very weird almost psychedelic moments within his pieces where people engage in trips. Only thing I've read from him as far as his standard works are concerned is Norwegian Wood, and that was a more mild work. Didn't really reflect the majority of what he does, like Kafka on the Shore, 1Q84. Even if the story itself was general, I think that his use of imagery was amazing. The going up the mountain, the sky, the cranes. I just love the way he describes things.
Yeah, it was wonderfully picturesque, but truth be told, I kind of got lost in the details. But like, like wait a minute, being led on a wild goose chase. Wait a minute, there's a piano recital. There's what? I felt like at the end of it, I was like, okay, I don't get this. Maybe I'm not supposed to. And then the circle within the circles, I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to get this.
I went in frustrated because the first thing he says is, I remember telling my younger friend a story. To this day, I don't have a conclusion. And I'm like, so now I got to read this thing,
and I know
I already know I'm not going to get a conclusion.
Sometimes that's the thing. Is
I figured that was the purpose of the story.
Not to overthink it.
Some person he hasn't seen in years sends him an invitation, and so now I'm thinking, well, how did you get this invitation if there's nobody there? And I was confused at that, and then of course when it's like that fate sends you that so you can meet up with this elderly guy to tell you about the circles. Guess what he's saying is, sometimes in life something happens and then 20 years later you understand why it happened, but then sometimes things happen and you never figure out why it happened, and you just have to let it go and not try to figure it out and just realize it happened, let it go. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing I could get out of it for me. Even though this is a fictional story, I'm letting you know now you're not getting a conclusion. Mm-hmm. So you can either keep reading and know that or put it down. But I was like, ugh. And then, of course, I was like, oh, there's a conclusion. I'm sure there is. And then I get to the end of it, I'm like, of course, no, there isn't.
It's fictional, but it's very much driven by philosophy. It was interesting to incorporate the wild goose chase and that the car that is shouting out like it's shouting out of a megaphone things about Christianity, and that was an interesting incorporation though, because it's a common answer to the meaning of life, religion, and groups of people. It is the answer. The speaker is looking for his own answer, which is pretty much intuitive. That train of thought that the self is divine.
You honestly have a lot of different, normal meanings of life in this. He's trying to go to school. A lot of people find that knowledge and education is the meaning. Mm-hmm. He has this, brief fantasy that maybe this girl and him are gonna, get together. A lot of people find meaning in love. She's a pianist and potentially a fairly successful one. A lot of people find, the meaning of life through their work. Mm-hmm. You've got the religion. So there's a lot of, different avenues that it goes down.
I'm glad you brought that up because I see it differently now. Mm-hmm. To me, I was just following his steps. I didn't even put all that together. Through his description, I wanted to be where he was.
Mm. Yeah, it was
I was
very,
I want to go
beautiful.
Wherever you are.
Yeah.
Does this really exist? Does this place exist?
It's very much like an epiphany that when he went up the mountain, and was very, even though it was a gray sky, the atmosphere still felt pretty beautiful. The one thing I liked was at the very beginning when he talked about taking a semester off to spend time at the library and read novels, in particular Honore de Balzac's Mammoths, and to him that was the part of life that made him happy. In a way, that could be, if is fulfilling what you want to get out of life, then so be it. Mm-hmm. Then that is a meaning of life. I think that for everybody, self-content with the contingency that they are not seriously hurting themselves or other people is what should be brought out of life and what the meaning of life should be.
Maybe it's also saying you're really not supposed to know what it is.
Yeah, I would think.
With the whole story, you don't know anything. You know stuff, and then you're like, oh, that's not what that is.
I thought I knew this.
But yet it's up to you to draw your conclusion.
When I started reading the part when he's in a library, for whatever reason, I was like, oh, so this story is about him realizing he wants to be an author, and he's going to be a bestseller. I'm writing the story for myself. And then he starts talking about this girl, I'm like, oh, that's not what this is about. And then I'm like, okay, so he's going to go meet her, he's going to congratulate, blah, blah, blah. nope, that's not what this is about. And then I'm like, he's gonna go back home. Like, everything I thought, that wasn't it.
Yeah, there's just like this different
Like,
turn at
everything,
it.
I was like, and then I said, oh, he's gonna tell us what the circle is. Because I really want to know what the circle is. And he doesn't tell you. I'm like, I think that's what they're saying, is that most times we try to figure things out that are not supposed to be figured out.
It's up to you to draw your conclusion. It's pretty much the idea that whatever your answer is, if you think it's correct, then it is correct. It's not like a game show where you're looking to...
Yeah, no one's giving you a prize if you get it right.
Yeah. Do we have any final thoughts?
Well, is that when you read something like that, you expect one thing and you come away with something entirely different, or actually something like that requires more than one read, obviously, because you can get lost in the imagery, and like I referenced a wild goose chase, and find out it had very little, if any, meaning to you until you go back and think about it a little more.
I got where this story was getting at after the first read. I reread it a few times just to develop an argument to it and come out with particular passages that I thought really stuck out to me. I think that after the first read it was a very memorable, and I thought it was great. I really enjoyed reading it, and it really made me think. And I think that that's a good thing, a good trait for short works that make you think beyond the text. So if you are interested in reading Cream by Haruki Murakami, it was featured in The New Yorker on January 28th, 2019. You could find it on their site. Google Cream Haruki Murakami, you will find it. I don't know if it has been published in any of Murakami's short story collections yet. It is featured in this issue where Donald Trump is putting up a brick wall, and the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is on the back. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading. Hi there, this is Josh, and on the next episode of Literary Gladiators, Casey, Kaila, Cyndi, and I will be discussing The Gilded Six-Bits by Zora Neale Hurston. If you like what you see on this channel, please become a patron on our Patreon account, because that will allow us to gather the funds that we need in order to provide you, the viewer, with more material. Be sure to join us next time, and for now, keep reading.